Max. All right. Hello, guys. My name is Paul Cutzinger. Looks like I might have to tell a joke here. Yeah, all right. So I'm with Amazon. We're going to talk about A/B testing today. My kid actually told me this joke. It was, well, it's a story more of a joke than a joke. The kid next to him in school, on his desk, he had this piece of paper and a pencil. And to the pencil, he had taped like a wasp or a bumblebee or something like that. And the teacher came over to the kid and said, "What is this?" And the kid goes, "What? I thought it was a B test." Oh. Okay, we got to note that for the next one. That one didn't go. All right, so surveys are a little different than A/B testing, I've just found out. Surveys are good for at the end of something when everybody actually understands what they're going to get and what has happened, and they can comment on it. This is a spot where you don't really know how it's going to play out, if the joke is going to be worth it. Maybe it wasn't. Is the no counts going up now? Yeah, that's good. So what we're going to talk about today is A/B testing. And we thought about having like the right half of the room, we'd do the presentation once, and then the left half of the room, we'd do it again slightly differently and see which one went best. We opted just to go all at once here. All right, so let's dig into it. You'll be my clicker?
I'll do whatever you'd like.
Yeah, all right. Russ is the best. Okay, so I found this table on eBay, and I really love it. It's got two parts to it. The middle is a chessboard, which is pure skill. It's just straight up, that's how it goes. And then the outside of the table is a roulette table. So you actually stick an arrow in the middle. There's a little pivot point in the center of the table. You stick an arrow in it, and you can spin the arrow around and play roulette. So you can play chess or roulette on the same thing. In fact, the advertisement for it on the box says, "Round and round spins the dazzling arrow of fortune. Where it stops, nobody knows. It's a thrill-a-second chuck-a-luck." So I got thinking about this with respect to businesses. Who wants their business to be more of a random thrill-a-second chuck-a-luck or more on the skill side? I'd like to talk today about how we can shift things to be more and more predictable and more filled with skill instead of luck through A/B testing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things the top 50 apps do. Mike had a full presentation about this a minute ago, so you can go read his presentation just to see the whole thing. But there's a couple key points I wanted to pull out for this particular talk. This is an app, just to recap, this is an app, and in their app they sell a variety of items. This particular page of items is tips. It's their in-game soft currency. And they're really doing a good job of arranging the items in such a way that you make your choice based on value of the item versus a big long list that you scroll through and pick, like, how much money do I think I want to spend today? Right? It's about the value over dollars and that kind of stuff. The key with this is, and by the way, apps that do this style of thing do a lot better, a 75% lift in ARPU. ARPU for paying users. The key here is the top apps experiment and try things and test things out, and they refine their way to a point like this. So this is a good place for people to start, because we've seen some evidence that this works because all the other apps in the world are trying different things, and you can see which one seems to be working the best. But within the game, they're able to experiment and react. Let's do another one. So here's one in Cut the Rope, and the idea here is once you buy something, in fact, this one is these little lightning bolts, and the little lightning bolts change the gameplay in a bunch of ways, and they allow you to like magnetically move the candy into the guy's mouth. So you get to win really easily, but it's also kind of fun while you do it. The thing that they do really well is they have this finger that bounces there, and it says, "Hey, go use this item," and so you're teaching people right away what to go do. It's another best practice that, again, you can experiment with and try a variety of treatments to see where you want to get. Another one? So here's one. This is what you might see if you're watching your retention and you see a big dip at the very end. Russ is actually here to talk about this chart because it's in Air Patriots. So he'll walk you through like, what happened and then where we go from here. But the key again is you see something like this, you have to be able to dive in very quickly through your analytics and then respond. And so that gets us to the next part, which is A/B testing. How do we do this kind of thing? So by means of an overview, most of this talk today will be examples. We'll be walking through different case studies with a variety of different apps and then showing you how it all kind of works on the back end. This will sort of set the tone for how it plays out overall. On the far left, stage left, your right, there we go. I got to learn these like, so on your far right, you start with a goal. In this case, it could be uplift of revenue, it could be retention, it could be click-through, it could be a variety of things. But what are you trying to accomplish? And then, if we work back through the chart the other direction, you set a series of variations. So you have your what you think is the best possible solution, and then you do some variations on it. A little harder, a little easier, different color, different arrangement, different ordering of those like items you might see in the purchase flow, etc. Then you use the system to get those treatments, those variations, to the customers, and then to have that report back up into the system. And it gets you that percentages. It gives you the conversion rates. And from there, your game designers or producers or level designers or whoever you want can try various variations, and they can deploy the one that wins. So in this case, variation C is winning, and after the right amount of time, we get the right statistical significance. We'd say that's the best. Let's give it to everybody. And the really interesting thing there is you can give that to everybody without a redeploy. Like, I don't have to go and resubmit to any of the app stores. It's just give this experience to all the users now that you know it's the best. So let's go into more detail. I think you're up. Yeah, I'd like to introduce Russ. He's the producer on this game, Air Patriots. And take it away.
Great. So I was the producer-creator on Air Patriots. I also was the designer. We were a smaller team, which leads to the situation where if anything was wrong with the game, it was my fault. And sometimes I had to yell at myself for doing a bad job designing it. Air Patriots, there's a little video here, isn't there?
Let's see.
You're going to take over there.
I'm gonna do this for you.
Sounds good. So Air Patriots is a tower defense game in general. There are paths. You can see that there are tanks. See, it's all lit up. It is a cross-platform tower defense game. On the left, we've got the Kindle Fire HDX, and on the right is the iPad. So I had to do the reverse hand thing, too. On the paths, the tanks come in. The difference with this game and other tower defense games is your towers, they move. So they're not really towers in the traditional sense. In fact, they're planes, and they fly around, and they shoot down the tanks. See? And there's bombs. That's one of the examples of the power-ups in the games. We had a variety of different ways that customers could purchase and extend their gameplay.
Ready?
Yeah. So what I'm going to take you through today are 3 different examples of how we used A/B testing inside of Air Patriots, and we'll jump right into the first one. This first one was with the store. We had a A/B test around optimizing the store, and I want to just kind of lay some groundwork as to what we were thinking and how we were approaching it as we went forward. So the goal is easier access to the store's content. So the way I think about this is I want to delight customers. You know, there's a lot of sessions at GDC. I've been going to quite a few myself. I've been going to a lot of sessions on monetization. I look at monetization as a measure of delighted customers. It is a statistic that helps me know that my customers are really happy. And so when I'm looking to optimize my game, what I'm looking for is ways to make those customers so happy that they want to stick around more, so happy that they are wanting to spend money in the game. And that spending money is really just a measurement to help me. So with the store optimization, what I was looking for was a way to make the customers happier with content, be able to access the content easier. This is a test that we ran cross-platform. It's on Android and iOS because A/B testing is available on Android and iOS. So we were on both platforms. And the test, as mentioned, is about making the content easier to access. In this case, we wanted to make it easier to access the store through the main menu. So that was backwards. This is forwards. So in the top left, you can see the old main menu screen from the game. There's a big lock button right on the top of each stage. It's because it was locked. You couldn't access it yet. The way that it worked is, if you touch that level, that stage is what it really is, so you could access it, there'd be a pop-up box. So this was touch number 1. We used to call them clicks. We'll call them touches. That pop-up box asked if you were interested in accessing that stage. If you were interested, you clicked OK, and it took you to the store. So I've got now 2 touches. I'm now to the store in 2 touches. When you got to the store, then you had to identify the level you wanted. We would actually get you to it, but you had to select it and then finally unlock it. So if you saw me counting up here, I counted to 4. Well, that's obviously a lot of touches or clicks. And we thought, well, this could be a lot better. So the A/B test is done with the second menu. This is the one in the bottom right. This new menu had an unlock button right on the stage. itself. So you could just touch the unlock and unlocked. It was that quick. So one click. So some of you are probably saying, well, it's pretty obvious which one's going to win here. I think that the unlock on the main menu is better. However, this is where we take science and put it into the gameplay. We want to think about what are the actual impacts. Is changing our main menu this way going to affect our customers in a way we hadn't thought about? Might customers come in and say, wow, you know what? I don't know if I want to play this game because it looks like they're trying to sell me stuff all over the place and I don't like that. We want to think about that first experience of a customer. And one of the ways we can do that is by measuring in a test, in an A/B test, what the results of this change were. And so that is what we did. So let's go on to the results. I've got the two images pulled out here in a little bit of a table so you can see how they worked out. The top is the baseline. So the baseline conversion to customer, this is how many of our customers converted to customer. The baseline is flat because it was the same. And then the 7-day retention. So we were testing around a couple of vectors. The new case is the one at the bottom. And you can see what we ended up doing with this change, this real simple change, was to increase the number of players into paying customers by 21%, which is enormous, and that's a great thing to find out. But I also want to find out how did it affect retention? Are we driving anyone away? Because I want to delight players. I want to delight my customers. And in fact, we were increasing our retention, which shows again that we've accomplished our goal. We've got increased loyalty. We've got increased happiness from our players. And the A/B test helps us know this. This again adds the science. And it was very, very easy to put into the game. So I'm going to show you another quick example. That one required a bit of programming work. Not a ton, but obviously we also had artwork. We had to remake the main menu. You can do it much simpler than that, and this test is one that we did that was super simple. If you've ever seen the old, is it a Zynga adage? I don't remember what it was, like the pink pony or the blue pony, or is it the purple? I'm not sure, but there's always this idea of like, which of these two things is better? And that's kind of where we think about when we think about the original A/B test. And you can do something just as simple as that, and we did it at one point. This is our cross-promotion test. We added a link inside the game. It was actually an image to try to drive people to our other games. Now, this was an Android-only test, and that is because the link tool that we had built was specific to Android. A/B testing could have done both, but this was us. So the test is really what we want to measure is which image is clicked on more. This is as easy and simple a test as you can get. So we have two contenders here. In the top right, we've got an image that is got 3 different colors and a few icons, and it looks kind of like a beach ball. So that's contender number 1. Contender number 2 is everyone's favorite, the first letter of the alphabet, the letter A. And it has an orange smile under it. This is because we are an Amazon company. So we have these two images here, and I want to tell you just a little bit about the top right one. We had a designer, an engineer, and an artist. And we went into a bar. No. We sat down and we iterated and we thought about what is the right image for us? What's going to get people to click on it? How are we going to drive people to our other games? And we came to that image after some iteration, some toil, and some labor. And so that is the image we were thinking was the best one. I'm curious which one you think is the best. Who do you have some of the odds out there? Anybody think that they know which one's going to win this test, by the way? I want to see by hands. Who thinks it's the top right one, the beach ball image? Who thinks it's the left one, the bottom of the A? All right. So we've got people who've laid down your bets. Let's see how it came out. And the slides are broken.
There we go, further back.
I'm going to take you into the this is what you will actually see inside of the Amazon Dev portal when you run a test. These are the types of results that you see. So if you look at the top, we have all users, and we have a number of users. Now, the way the tests work is when you start a test, everyone who downloads the game in the test period fits into your user group. People who've already downloaded the game wouldn't. That's because they're biased already. They've already seen something. We don't want to include them. We only want to include them from the time we start the test going forward. So we have 100,000 users in this test. that's not as important as the number in the very bottom right corner for me, which is confidence. Confidence, if you see that, that is 100%, which means I'm 100% confident that the results from this test are true, that I'm not just guessing, that I know that it's right. Okay, so let's go back up a little bit. And you can see the variations here. We have variation A, which is the beach ball-ish image with the 3 colors. And we have the conversion on that image. That's, again, just clicks. So it's not super high, but it is an ad trying to move our customers to other games, so that's respectable. It's about 1.8% is the conversion on that. Now, for the other image, we're comparing it, again, to that conversion. So you're not seeing the conversion number right there. What you're seeing is the difference. And it converted at 47.3% lower. Almost twice as well as what the one on the left performed for us. Which kind of makes sense. It's a little more gamey, isn't it? Doesn't you look at that and it's like, oh, I see games there. I'm interested in what the games are. So that makes a lot of sense to some degree. Now, we have one goal here. If you look, you'll see it says goal, and there's a 1, more games icon clicked. We could have done multiple goals, but we've got one goal here. And if we clicked on that in the portal, it would take you down to the thing that I have at the bottom, which shows you the breakout. This was a straight 50-50 test, which means that 50% of people would see one variation and 50% would see the other. We can set those variables wherever we want them, so we can get them to a specific portion of the audience. We also then see the number of conversions for each of those, and then we will see the full conversion rate for both of them, and then the confidence. So this is one way to look at this, and Paul's going to talk about the numbers a little more.
Yeah, so I was an A voter, by the way. So I thought that would go the best. Here, I'm going to pull that scenario back into that chart we talked about a second ago. Over on the far side, we have the goal, which was click-through rate. And then this particular case had 2 variations instead of 3 or 4 or 5. The conversion metrics were shown down at the bottom of the screen that he had. And then the team was able to pull the lever and say, OK, let's deploy the beach ball-looking one, or keep the beach ball-looking one for everybody. All right, so let's go into a little more detail about what the producers on your team might see. This is a picture of that portal. This is a more complex scenario. Here what we're trying to do is figure out if it's better to have ads on the menu page or in the game itself. In fact, I could have another variation which was both. But in this I'm just doing no ads, ads in the menu, or ads in the game. And let's go through the different parts of this thing. Variation A is the no ads variation. And then variation B, that would be where I have ads on the menu. And then variation C, that's where I'd have ads in the game. So as a part of the portal experience, you go in, you set up what the variations would be, you define them, set up a set of variables that your developers would use, and they'd say, this is the ad URL. And it would go grab the ad URL and show it in the right place. Or it would say, true, ads on the menu, true, ads in the game. Okay? The next part is there's goals. In the example that Russ showed, he had one goal, which was the click-through rate. Here I've got a couple different things. I'm using a couple different retention measures, 3-day and 7-day. And I'd actually like to use a few more. They just didn't fit on my slide. I could have 1-day, 30-day, whatever you think is important for your experience. Then I've also got a units purchased measure. So I want to know both retention and am I causing more sales or hurting my sales in particular. If I'm putting ads in the game, I certainly hope I'm not hurting other monetization opportunities. And then the last one is ads clicked. Hey, did people actually click the ads? And I actually have a slide bug here, which is I want to minimize ads clicked. I actually want to maximize ads clicked. So, but that's important to note that each of these different goals you can choose to want to maximize it or minimize it. And when the tool is coming back to say which one is winning, it takes that maximizing and minimizing into account. Okay. If I were to look at just one goal, I would see that, hey, ads clicked is better when it's on the menu. And that alone isn't actually enough information, because just seeing who clicks the most ads doesn't tell me, did I hurt my monetization story or did I hurt my 3-day retention, my 7-day retention? So that's where we look at the total picture. And I can see that, yep, my 7-day retention's up. Yep, my units purchased are actually up when they're on the menu. But when I'm in the game, those things fall off. And I'm not willing to make that trade-off. That's the decision I would make as a producer. And so then I could say, let's go deploy variation B. And the way I would do that is I would say, give 100%, instead of 33% of the people, I'd say give 100% of the people variation B, and now everybody's got it. And again, without a resubmit to any app store, it's just everybody now gets that information, so they have that experience. Okay? So now let's look at it from the developer's perspective. I'm showing Objective-C. Of course, it works in Java. We have Android support, and it'll work across the Kindle Fires, all the Android devices, and iOS devices. There's a couple things your developer needs to do. This particular scenario here is a test on the difficulty of a level. And so the first thing they would do is they would say the user is about to experience this test. So when they start level 3, start the test. So they instantiate the level 3 test, and then they say, I want to pull down the difficulty multiplier. What this really does is it says, those variations that you set up on the portal, let's grab all that information and make sure that we give the right number of customers the right information. So maybe I give stronger tanks or faster enemies or whatever to the person in this case. Then that's when I start to see the test. Then when my conversion event happens, I fire off something else. So the conversion events, again, were those goals. 3-day retention, 7-day retention, bought something, click the ad, or whatever it might be. So here, I say, I start when level 3 starts, and then I'm going to do upgrade purchase. On purchase, I show, yep, it's been committed, and I send the data back up to the server, and then it does the rest. This all happens. The SDK that you incorporate will keep checking to make sure if things go offline or whatever it might be, and grab that data and pull it back up. And there's a lot more you can learn. The lower left box corner there. Okay, so let's get back into a couple more examples. So this is an app called Junk Race by GameNug, and they've got a little video too here. There we go. This is a game where you are just driving like crazy. It's a multiplayer game, so you have a variety of people to compete against there. They're all playing live. There's all sorts of different, you can get the bus, you can get the different wheels, you can get skins, power-ups like the bubble there. These guys, this is a cross-platform engine that they have, and they have so far, at the end of February, released this on iOS. And what they're doing now is they're tuning this, and then once it's ready to go and they really, really love it, they're going to deploy it to all the different situations, to all the different platforms. So they really talk about this as a laboratory for themselves. They are really working hard to learn how to maximize the value they get out of their game. So they have done a lot of A/B testing, and in particular, it's around entire scenarios. So they in fact shy away from the very simple tests where you just change out an image and see which one works best, because they really want to understand entire experiences. So one example they gave me was these wheels. So you can see the little wheels on the red car. They have a shopping experience, and right now that shopping experience is one big long strip with all the different wheels, and you can buy them within soft currency or hard currency or however it goes, and it's all sorted by that, and you have to scroll sideways. They would try a different alternate, which is that tab-style view, or splitting the hard currency versus the soft currency so you can tell what's going on. They're also thinking about trying completely different things, which is have them all be the same price and just see if that actually causes more overall sales, because you can just start letting people collect all of the items rather than trying to get, pay more for the more fancy-looking ones. All right. They had a few tips for us they wanted to share. So the first thing, these are quotes from them, and I'll just go through and sort of summarize what they saw. The first one is they've been using analytics in some of their previous games, and A/B testing was pretty exciting for them because it really got that two-way connection going. Instead of just getting a bunch of data and then going, okay, how am I going to deal with this, going to build a change, and then redeploying it, resubmitting to app stores, they could right away close the loop and try different experiments and try to understand what's going on. Because a lot of things surprise you when you're doing A/B testing, like the different pictures, which one is the right one, or which experience might be better. And you got to do actually sometimes a second test to go like, let me verify that, and let me take another cut at it. So they like that two-way experience. The next is they're really big on testing entire customer experiences rather than just tuning. So He certainly said that you could change the picture of an item or change how the wheels look a little bit, but he was much more interested in figuring out which systems would work the best for their customers. And so they spent a lot of time really thinking through that and adding a lot of flexibility to their game. Then the next one is they got burned by this, which was to watch your sample size. If you have a particularly big spender and they get into one of your control groups, they could totally swing the results if you don't have enough customers. So you want to try to get the same number of big spenders in each control group. Deploying instantly across the platform, I've hit on this one a couple times, but he said it many times, which was, man, our cycle times are just so much faster now that we can get in there, try something. They have all the flexibility they need in their code because they thought about this early and they just started adding tons of state variable changes, places where they could add state. And the ability to deploy it and then go on to the next test was big for them. And then the last was free. It was actually surprising to them that it was completely free. And these guys are, right now at least, only on iOS. So it's not like you have to be part of the Amazon App Store in order to get these services. Now, they'll be in the Amazon App Store quite soon, but that's where they're going. All right, Russ, let's do another case study. It's the bottom arrow here.
I have the power in my hands.
You have the power.
I feel like I have a little magic wand or something. All right, so this is the third test that I'm going to show you. We've done a number, obviously, and this one was really, really interesting. It gets into dealing with multiple variables. I've been showing you A/B. We would test control against a different. This one's going to have more than that, and it kind of sets you up here. This graph that he brought up at the very beginning of the presentation, if you remember back that far. I can, almost. We had this happen. This is our retention. And just to give you a quick idea of what we're talking about, let me set you up a little bit further. You wake up, and this is what you see. Now, you should probably be panicked, but I bet you've probably been panicked for days because you've been seeing those numbers going down for days, and in time, that is days. It is going down and down. And let me just tell you, this is not scaled to make it like a 3% change look like a 10% change or something. We're talking about a 70% drop in retention, in 7-day retention. We had a accompanying 30% drop in revenue. So if you're not panicked as a producer, designer, anyone in the industry working on a game, when you see something like this, you should be. Let me just tell you that. The green number also, I'll let you know, is the Apple one. This was cross-platform. And the green number is a little bit further out because it just took a few more days for that to get into their system, right? So we are wondering, what's wrong? We're thinking about it, and of course, the first thing you do is you go well, we went through QA, we checked everything internally, there's no problems with the game, what the heck? Let's go read reviews. So we're reading through reviews, looking for a bug, because that's what we got to figure, right? There's got to be a bug. No bugs mentioned, not one. So what is it? What's the problem? So something that we noted in reviews was a couple of people mentioned that it became really hard. And that keyed off a little bit because we'd been working on potentially multiple difficulty levels within the game. Of course, that code was not in the main branch. That wouldn't have been checked in. It couldn't have gone to the customers. But it turns out that somebody checked it in, and yeah, we had sent out the slightly difficulter level to everybody. And it went through our QA. Nobody even noticed. It went through our normal testing team. Nobody noticed that it was harder. But the customers noticed that it was harder, and we had this huge impact. So what's the result here? Why does this even have anything to do with A/B testing? Well, this is what we call a happy accident. You can look at this and go, oh my gosh, we're in so much trouble. The other thing you can look at is this is easy to fix. Really? Really easy to fix. And so we fixed it, put up the new updates, and immediately the graph came back up. I don't have it here, but it went right back up to where it was and was happy land. But this got us thinking, really got me thinking. We'd play tested this game. We'd gone through beta groups. We knew where the difficulty had been balanced out. We were sure we were right with it, but we made it 10% harder and saw this huge drop-off. What if we could make it 10% easier and see a huge raise, right? What would a huge increase look like? Could we get that real easily? And so we went into this test. This is an Android and iOS test. It's cross-platform. And again, I mentioned it's an ABN test because we tested 5 different difficulty levels, even more than that, actually. And I have the mountain and the apple tree up here because I think sometimes when we think about A/B testing, we've got the mountain in our mind of like the months and months of work that we need to do in order to optimize our games, in order to delight our customers and get the best possible experience out of it. And there is some of that. To be very, very clear. With Air Patriots, we had a 6-month setup for how we were going to improve the game. That went through week by week, many multi-week, some 5 to 6 week projects in that 6 months of how we were going to improve things for customers. However, there's also this low-hanging fruit where changing it so that we externalized our variables, externalized the difficulty variables, took about 2 days to put up this test. And if we could see a big increase out of 2 days of work, oh my gosh, like that would be huge. And so we really wanted to find this out. And this is where we started this test. I'm going to take you briefly into the dev portal again. I showed you what it looks like to get your results. This is how we put in the tests. So this is looking at one of the difficulty tests that we ran. You can see across the top the distribution. It has to add up to 100% because you're going to distribute to everybody. We have the control group, which is A, and then we have varying distributions, which we set, 23, 10, 22, 25. That could be whatever you wanted. We could have split this straight 20s. Would have made a lot of sense. And then down below, we have variables. Now, again, I just mentioned we externalize the variables for the game. And the reason we do this is because this allows us to change them on the dev portal. We don't have to make a new build. We don't have to upload anything more. We upload once, and we're good. I can change the difficulty in this game right this moment if I wanted to. I can do it as much as I want, as many times as I want, forever, to any different value that I think makes sense. We had multiple variables that we were using. They're down the side. They're kind of not super interesting or anything, but plane power, speed, tank health. We had some variations on how quickly the tanks came in, how far apart they would be, how far apart the waves themselves would be, the speed, and just a number of different variables to help us identify what we felt was the core difficulty of the game. This is the stuff we'd messed up before, so this was the stuff we were going to get right this time. And this test had multiple goals. Paul had shown you that you can set up multiple goals. So you can set up multiple pieces that you're trying to test out. I'm showing you the results in a table instead of in the portal. But the concept's very much the same. So we were testing out 7-day retention and conversion to customer, because that's still the one that I'm most excited about. How many people can I turn into paying customers? And you see the control, again, it's a baseline, so I'm not going to tell you what that number was. But everything else is relative to that baseline, whether we're increasing, improving, or not. And I put them in green and red to help with that here. Excuse me. So you can see the retention numbers are actually kind of flat. So maybe we didn't push it enough. But they're kind of flat. But we have this weird spike in conversion to customer that doesn't seem to align with it. We have a 16% increase in conversion to customer out of our 4% easier and a near 20% out of our 6% easier. Now, at this point, you could just say, okay, well, D looks good, let's do that. With A/B testing, again, it's so easy to do multiple tests. You really want to fine-tune. You really want to get in and get it right. And so this is an ongoing test, because I saw these results and I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with this yet. I feel like there's more to figure out. And so we've gone on and done multiple tests to try to better identify what we're seeing with additional goals, which I'm also not going to show you. But I can't show you everything I'm doing. So what I can tell you is we're learning still on that one. But there's potentially opportunities there. So what it all came back down to for me, though, when I thought about this was, how much would you pay? How much would you invest, both time-wise and money-wise, to try to increase the number of paying customers you have by 20%? You know, when we look at launching a game, when we look at post-launch, we've got, probably like you do, months worth of work that we're thinking about that we could do, that we could improve. What if you could do it in a couple of days? Would you do it? And when we ran into this is why I call it the happy accident. Like when we had that retention huge drop-off, I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, this is a huge opportunity. We can do the exact opposite potentially. So I think that with A/B testing, there's a lot of different things you can do. There are low-hanging fruit tests out there that you can run, that you can put into your game in a matter of a couple of days. It's all externalized. You can figure it out. Once you have it all done, you just push it to everybody. Both your old users, your new users, every test group, everybody gets the right version, and then you have got an immediate impact on your game. And then there are other, more difficult tests you can run. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. And that's for me, that's the awesomeness of A/B testing. I have this thing on there where I'd never launch a game in the future without A/B testing difficulty, and I wouldn't ever do that again. Even though we are very confident out of our beta testing that we balanced to the right spot, what's 2 days worth of work for 100% science sure we got it right, and here's the opportunities and the additional fine-tuning of reality versus what your beta testing group told you. So we see that A/B testing is hugely valuable, and it's been something we've used a ton on Air Patriots.
Cool. So at Amazon, the customer experience is sort of the core to our being. Like, we are very passionate about making sure we have a great customer experience. And this A/B testing stuff that we've been doing for a long time internally. And turning that into an infrastructure and a platform that everybody can use is super exciting. And so I hope that you guys will sort of pile onto that and try it, play with it, work on minimizing the luck in your experience and maximizing that skill, figuring out how you can get these things balanced. And like Russ said, pick up some of that low-hanging fruit. If you guys can get out and pick up some of that low-hanging fruit, then you'll be able to get more and more into it and really go for the big win. The three things that I find when I talk to a lot of different developers that surprise them are that, first, it's cross-platform. There's a lot of stereotype around, hey, this is just for a Kindle thing. It's not. Of course it works on a Kindle Fire. We want to make sure it works there. It's a great experience. But it also works on any Android device and on iOS devices. So really, it's a completely cross-platform experience. The other thing that surprised them is that you can literally deploy instantly and get past all the submission hurdles with any of the app stores. So you can completely tune and change your experience very rapidly with this. And then the last one is, wait, it's free? Yeah, it's completely free. So thank you. Appreciate it. This is how you can reach me and Russell. And we also have the win a free Kindle Fire if you go out to this survey and let us know how this talk went. Thank you very much.